Yae Miko's banner is coming to Genshin Impact tomorrow at the time of recording this, and it's worth going over what we need to farm for her before we all become Yae Miko havers. This video will be split into what you need for her Ascension, what you need for her talents, and finally a schedule that you should stick to if you're serious about farming her materials in the most efficient way possible. So let's get into it. So first off, you're going to need the purple amethysts. Specifically, you're going to need 1 of the fragments, 9 of the small chunks, 9 of the big chunks, and 6 of the gemstones. These are usually dropped from bosses like the Electro Hypostasis and the Thundering Manifestation, with each boss fight costing 40 resin. You can also get the fragments from the souvenir shops if you haven't bought them from there already. But if you have, and unlike some of the other materials that I'm going to be talking about, the boss fights can be done at any time. The next material you need for Yae Miko's Ascension are the boss drops from the Vishaps in Enkonomiya. You're going to need 46 of these, but again, these bosses aren't time locked, so they can be fought at any time, so long as you have the resin for it, of course. The resin cost for this boss is again 40 resin. Next up, you're going to need the handguards that are dropped by these guys in Inazuma. You're going to need 18 of the beige ones, 30 of the blue ones, and 36 of the yellowy brown ones. These enemies can be found all over Inazuma, and these materials can also be bought from Paimon's bargains if you're willing to sacrifice your Stardust. I would consider that to be a last resort thing to do if you're desperate, since these enemies aren't that difficult to find, and they cost no resin to fight whatsoever. And lastly, you're going to need 168 of the sea Ganodermas, or as I like to call them, sea mushrooms. These sea mushrooms are grown on the beaches throughout Inazuma. Here's a guide that I've been using to farm mine. Let's move on to talent materials. The talent books that Yae Miko needs are the Teachings, Guides, and Philosophies of Lights. Specifically, you need 9 of the teachings, 63 of the guides, and 144 of the philosophies. If you're somebody who spends money on the battle pass, you can get them sometimes when you reach milestones in the battle pass. But for the most part, you're going to need to farm in the Violet Court domain in Inazuma. You can only farm these talent books in that domain on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So on those days, you should make it your priority to farm that domain. Additionally, you're also going to need more handguards for the talents. On top of the ones that you farmed for her Ascension, you'll need to farm an additional 18 of the beige ones, 66 of the blue ones, and 93 of the yellowy brown ones. While MiHoYo hasn't officially announced what boss materials she needs for her talents, we can only assume that there's going to be a new weekly boss fight coming in the 2.5 updates, which is most likely what we're going to need to farm for Yae Miko's talents. Once we know what that material is, we're going to need 18 of said material. So we've covered her materials. Let's now think of a schedule to stick to if you're thinking about only farming for Yae Miko's Ascension and talent materials for the next few weeks. If you're concerned about her artifacts, I have made a video on her artifacts and what you could potentially farm for her, but from what we know so far, I would recommend either a 4-piece Emblem of Severed Fate set, or 2-piece Gladiator or 2-piece Shimenawa, depending on what you have that's better, and 2-piece Thundering Fury. If you want to focus on her skill, try and find as many Elemental Mastery substats or main stats. And if you want to focus on her burst and her overall damage, then probably a classic DPS build would suit her as well, but we won't know until tomorrow, for sure. But for now, let's get on to the schedule. Okay, so here's the little schedule that I've kind of whipped up. So every day you can farm the handguards since the enemies spawn every single day, and they cost no resin to farm, so you can effectively do that every day. On Monday you can also farm the sea mushrooms, which spawn back every 2 to 3 days. And then finally you can work on one of the bosses, so you can either work on the Electro Hypostasis or the Thundering Manifestation. On Tuesday, again, you can farm the handguards and you can farm the boss in Enkonomiya. On Wednesday, you can focus on the talent books, since again, those are only available Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. On Thursday, you can work on the new boss, which we don't know about yet. On Friday, the sea mushrooms should have spawned back by now, so you can work on farming that, as well as another boss. I've chosen the bosses in Enkanomiya because you need a lot of those. And then on Saturday and Sunday you can farm the talent books. Again, this isn't very strict. You can tailor this to your needs and how you play, but this is just a rough guideline of what you could do. But yes, if you're wishing for Yae Miko tomorrow, I wish you the best of luck. I'm going to be streaming my pulls on my Twitch tomorrow at some point, so be sure to follow me on there if you do want to see that. But until next time, have a lovely day, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.
Hey there. If you like Genshin Impact, Animal Crossing or games in general, join our chill Discord server. Thanks and have a nice day.